Hi, my name is Val Stewart, and I am doing my presentation on improving leadership skills within the Community Partnership Engagement Program. This is beautiful. In January 2019, the Department of Census adopted a program called the Community Partnership Engagement Program that's within the Census Bureau. And this particular program is an interim program to last from January 2018 up until the decennial, which is April of 2020. Their goal was to hire a team of 2,500 team members across and throughout the United States. The partnership teams will represent each state and their local counties. The CPEP team will consist of partnership coordinators, which are the head, and partnership specialists, which are the let's go back. That partnership coordinators, which are the heads. Then we have our partnership leads, which are our supervisors. They're the same as our partnership specialists, but they are actually the leads. Okay, they actually lead the team, like supervise them. And then we have our partnership specialists, for the ground workers. Our partnership leads and our partnership specialists are our ground workers. They are the actual specialists that go out and acquire the external partnerships throughout the community. Okay. The goal for CPEP not only was to hire the team, but the team is responsible for acquiring external partnerships. And those partnerships are our state governments, our local governments, our county governments, and our city governments. Okay, and also like our Department of Education, also our community-based organizations, our faith-based organizations. Um, those are our external partners. Okay, let me reiterate. Our external partners that I mentioned, they help us require our trusted voice and help us educate, and engage, and empower the community to participate in the census survey. So we actually go out, we meet with these partners, we teach them about the census and how to get engaged, because they are our important stakeholders. They become our important stakeholders because they have an investment in by getting people to participate in the census that allows them to receive more federal fundings back into their communities for important services like housing, road construction, and also our data is used for redistricting of government seats. Okay, so our data is used for a lot of purposes, and our important stakeholders has a lot at stake if their community is not counted. In this slide, I made a chart that lays out a performance tracking tool to see where we are with our goal of establishing the 63,000 partnerships by January 2020. You'll see that it starts in the first quarter from January, and the first quarter ends in June, which they will sit down and report and let us know how things we're doing. In September of 2018, they run another report, which will to see how we're tracking and where we at and if we're on track. And that report is getting us ready for the second quarter, which ends on January 31st. They run these reports off a system that we call Customer Relations Management Tool, and we call it CRM. It lets us know that if we are meeting our target goals, and it keeps track of how many established partners that we have. So by the end of January the 31st, we should have reached a total. We should have reached a total of 31,500 external partners. And by the end of January 2020, we should have reached our total goal of 63,000 partners. So around September 30th, 2019, they do their final report to see if we're on track and if we're not. And during that time, they will decide if they need to roll out a contingency plan so that we can meet our goals on getting that tracking system. Meeting our goal. In this slide, we'll talk about the identified problems. We'll start with our external partnerships, which are government leads, faith-based, and things that I mentioned earlier. So when I say external partnerships, you'll know that's what I'm talking about. With our external partnerships, they're not being established by the CPEP team, which are our boots on the ground partnership specialists. Okay. Residents are also in threat of being undercounted. So when I say undercounted, that means that we are at risk of not getting an accurate population count. And with that being said, if we don't get an accurate population count, the communities will lose federal resources, federal funding for resources. Also, another identified problem was with our partnership coordinators. We realized it's been identified that they do not have the required leadership skills, and they do not have the required technical skills, nor do they have the ability to know how to engage with their teams as well. The partnership specialists are the boots on the ground voice who engage with external partners. They're led by the partnership coordinators who are responsible for making sure that they are provided with the resources they need to do their jobs. They have to keep them updated on important deadlines and expectations, as well as keep them encouraged and equipped with ongoing training and growth opportunities. These are the skills, some of the skills that the coordinator needs to have in order to effectively lead their teams. By August 2019, like I mentioned, the final reports were done and the targets had not been met. Okay, this became really discouraging to the partnership specialists, and they felt they weren't being provided the necessary tools by their leads, and their leads being the partnership coordinators. And by them not being provided those resources, they weren't actually able to go out and obtain those partnerships that they needed because they weren't trained on how to do it. Some of these different partnerships require special skills and training and approaches that you need to know, and they weren't provided that. They were just basically told to go out there and establish a partnership, and that's it. And with that being said, when we're at the third quarter and you get news that you're still not at that goal, a lot of the partnerships became discouraged and felt like it was a no-win situation after 3 quarters. So they began to resign, and with that resignation is how mostly they discovered where the leadership was failing the team, and they needed to roll out a contingency plan. Okay. Other ways that they found out is once they saw the numbers were falling, they brought all the coordinators together in a regional wide meeting and asked them their input. They did not include all levels of the partnership team, unfortunately, but they included the coordinators' input. And what they felt is that the partnership specialists were dropping the ball. Okay, eliminating themselves from the problem. That's where the contingency plan was addressed. Was how do we get partnership specialists, the training that they need to acquire these 63,000 partners by January 2020. In this slide, we'll talk about some related research that, based on quantitative participant observation in January 2018 to present, we use the amount of money that was spent to actually onboard one partnership specialist could cost up to $2,100 per employee. So with that being said, look at the numbers here. My numbers are multiplied by 2,500 employees, which was the goal to cover for the entire CPEP team. So in totaling, they did reach their goal of hiring all 2,500 employees, which cost over $5 million just to onboard and train them. I broke it down to an estimated cost based on what I know that they used to spend on me for training. I am an active participant in this ongoing training as well as onboarding as well. So you'll see here that for drug testing was $100 and times 25. Hotel stays came up to about $1,275 for a week because the training takes a week, and that's $1,275 times 2,500. Then you have total reimbursement. Those reimbursements include like per diem and as well as parking fees, anything like that, and mileage. Then we also have training materials, being able to access the internet, also printing and manuals and policies and things like that. Came up to about $125 per person. And then you have background check. Those are all included, which averages out to about $2,100 per person. So just imagine every time we lose an employee, we have to rehire one to keep the budget and also obtain our goals in each region. So when we lose one, especially if we lose them in the first 6 months, that's money that they kind of lost and they have to figure out how to regain it. So by September, when they ran that last report, it was very important, if we're not meeting our goal, that we had to continue to rehire as those people left as those partnership specialists left their jobs. With that being said, we're spending double the amount that we should on onboarding and training. Once the problem was identified, a plan was implemented to bring the entire partnership team together for another week of training. This training would take place throughout the nation and would cover all remaining of the 2,500 CPEP team members on selected dates. This contingency plan was designed to approach the problem where they felt like it existed, which was with the partnership specialists not meeting their goals on obtaining external partnerships. And not also they had discovered that they weren't well trained on how to use the CRM tools, which was the customer relationship management tool, the CRM that I talked about earlier. They weren't actually using that correctly, so they weren't able to track their partnership goals like they should have. The matrix system allowed for the directors and those in charge to better track how and when the partnerships are being acquired with those local government and organizations. The training that they put together, the training that's going to be put together or was put together, was specific training on certain breakout sessions. It included certain breakout sessions for best practices. Those best practices were subjects like working with African American communities, working with national partners, things like how to acquire faith-based partnerships, how to utilize the CRM Also how to use the role mapping system. So it basically took down everything that we should be doing and pretty much retrained us on it so we can have the specifics and not have to depend on our coordinator for that. And they also talked about important dates and goals. They actually let us know where we were at with our goals and when they expect us to meet them and how we're going to get there. Okay. Proposed solution. My proposed solution would be to implement a leadership development program and incorporate it also into the hiring process for sustainability. This plan will address top three problems, which are leadership skills, internal communication, and turnover rate. With these leadership development program, PCs will learn their personal leadership styles in aligning with the overall goals for the CPEP team. They will also recognize how to adjust their personal leadership style for the advancement of the personal leadership team and the stakeholders that are involved so that they can reach their goals. The partnership coordinators will also learn effective methods on facilitating and managing partnership specialists and other people that are involved with the team. They will discover also ways to foresee, manage conflict, which would involve the PCs having the ability to acknowledge when their team has a valid concern or valuable input. The, a lot of times, like I said, the partnership specialists felt like they were not being heard, and when that is ignored, they lose motivation. The morale is kind of depletes, and so that's one of the part of the development is to be able to engage and hear their concerns. This leadership plan will also build trust and team accountability by constantly encouraging feedback from those involved in the change and keeping them informed. It would also allow them to learn how to implement incentive programs and acknowledge the team achievement. Lastly, it also elevates the performance level of the partnership specialist by keeping them informed of all changes and dates. That way they can stay on track of their goals. To evaluate the effectiveness of the implemented or the proposed solution, I will use 5 levels from the Philip models. I'll give you a brief description of that and what it includes. Level 1 involves the reaction and satisfaction of the planned action and how the people actually reacted to the plan when it was rolled out to them and how they feel like it affected them, and measures the participants' reaction and to the training program, if they feel like it was helpful to them or if they showed any resistance or acceptance to it. Okay. Level 2 is the learning part of the plan. Of the tool. It will actually help them. It continuously follows up on how they're improving. It measures their skills and how much knowledge they gain, because it kind of like makes them take a test or do a survey afterwards to see how much knowledge they actually gain. So it allows them to track the progress. Application and implementation is part 3 of this evaluation tool. It measures the changes that was made and if it helped improve the actual skills of the leadership. Did it improve engagement amongst the team? And are the partnership specialists now making changes and applying what they learned and increasing their targets. Number 4 is the results and impact. This measures to the extent of what the business, how it has improved the performance. What are the outputs? Are the numbers starting to increase? Are we reducing costs on training? Are we establishing those partnerships? Most importantly, are our partnership specialists now receiving the things that they need and not resigning from their jobs? That pretty much sums it up.